In many circumstances, CNC machines may need to have two motors on a single axis. One of the reasons for this is the two motors will act together so the gantry will not rack, which means one side is pulling more than the other side because maybe the end mill is on one side of the machine and it is under load, and the other side has no load, so it's able to freely move, and the side with load will be pulling against that load, causing the gantry to be uneven along the length of the machine. So two motors would be used in some circumstances where you have the motors connected to mechanics on both sides, so each side is pulling or pushing in the exact same way. If these motors are being mounted in opposition and the mechanics are identical on both sides, you'll need these two shafts to be rotating in an opposite manner. So this motor would have to be spinning in this direction, and this motor would have to be spinning in this direction. When you have them aligned like this, then that would show a rotation in an opposite direction. In some cases, you can resolve this mechanically, where you take your drive mechanics and you change the way the mechanics are set up, where maybe the chain or the pulley will be on the top on this side and it will be on the bottom on this side. But in many circumstances that's not possible, so you'll need the motor to be turning in the opposite direction. To put two motors and two drivers on a single axis, you would take that particular axis pins, the step and direction, you'll need to wire them to both of the drivers. But in that scenario, both motors will be turning in the same direction because the direction signal from the breakout board will be high in one direction and low in the other direction, and they'll both be sharing that same signal. So what you need to do is to invert one of those signals coming from the breakout board. So taking the direction signal from one of the drivers, and you'd wire it to a hex inverter, so you're going to invert one of the signals. So when the direction is high in one direction, for the other driver it will be low, and then in the opposite direction it'll be vice versa. The hex inverter only needs 5 volts, ground, and a signal, which is the direction signal. The step signal is going to stay the same because both of them need to maintain the same number of steps. Okay, this is what you'd be able to expect when you wire the drivers with a hex inverter on one direction line. I'm going to turn the motors in one direction and in the other direction. So you can see that they're moving in opposing directions. Hopefully this tip comes in useful for those that need to have two motors on a single axis and the rotations need to be opposing. Thank you for watching.